From working on the railroad to serving in the Army, Colonel Harland Sanders' journey to success was anything but straightforward. He faced countless setbacks, failed businesses, and rejections that would have stopped most people in their tracks. But through it all, Sanders never gave up. How did a man who struggled through so many obstacles rise to change the fast food industry forever? Was it his secret recipe or something deeper that kept him going? Stay tuned, because this isn't just a story about chicken. It's an exhibition of perseverance, resilience, and the power of never giving up. A story that proves success doesn't come easy, but with determination, it's never too late to rise. Born on September 9, 1890, in Henryville, Indiana, Harland David Sanders grew up in a modest home as the eldest of three children. His father, Wilbur David Sanders, was a farmer and handyman, but tragedy struck when Harland was just 5 years old. His father died suddenly from a stroke, leaving his mother, Margaret Ann Sanders, to care for the family. Margaret, a devout Christian, was a deeply religious woman who instilled strong values of faith, hard work, and resilience in her children. To make ends meet, Margaret worked grueling hours at a tomato cannery, forcing young Harland to step into the role of caregiver and cook for his siblings. Margaret's Christian values also shaped how Harland viewed responsibility and service to others. Despite the challenges, her faith in the Lord never wavered, and it was through her example that Harland began to understand the importance of persistence, even in the face of hardship. By the age of 6, Harland was already preparing hearty meals like fried chicken, bread, and vegetables, skills he learned out of necessity as he took on more responsibility at home. This early introduction to cooking laid the foundation for his future culinary skills, but it was also an outlet for him to care for his siblings and support his mother. Although he did not realize it at the time, his humble beginnings would eventually give birth to the entrepreneurial spirit that would define his later life. However, life at home became increasingly strained when Margaret remarried. Her second husband, a man Harland would later describe as cruel and abusive, created a toxic environment that made the household unbearable. The constant tension and mistreatment led Harland to make the difficult decision to leave home at the age of 12. He dropped out of school in the 7th grade, setting off on a journey to find work and independence. Armed with little more than his determination, Harland embarked on a life of hardship that would prove to be both formative and transformative. As a farmhand, Sanders earned a meager income, likely around $1 to $2 a week, about $30 to $60 in today's money. Working long hours under harsh conditions, he learned the value of hard work and persistence. Later, Sanders worked as a streetcar conductor, earning around $1.50 a day, which would be equivalent to about $45 today. For someone trying to support himself and his family, this wage was modest, but it was still not enough to fulfill his dreams. His next job as a railroad fireman, shoveling coal into a locomotive's furnace, brought in about $2 to $3 a day, roughly $60 to $90 in today's dollars. Although this was a more physically demanding job, it still did not provide the financial stability Sanders hoped for. In 1906, seeking a fresh start, Sanders joined the Army at the age of 16, lying about his age to enlist. He hoped the military would provide the structure and stability he craved. However, his time in the Army was brief, as he was later discovered to be underage. Sanders tried various other ventures, everything from working in an insurance agency to managing a restaurant. However, all of them ended in failure, leaving him with little more than unpaid bills and debts. Yet through it all, Sanders' determination never wavered. He lived on a shoestring budget, relying on the income from these odd jobs to get by, but never giving up on the belief that one day he would find success. In his early 30s, Sanders enrolled in a correspondence law course, and after completing it, he became a licensed attorney. He opened his own law office, earning fees for legal services. However, his legal career ended abruptly after a courtroom confrontation with a client, which ultimately led to his disbarment. This failure marked another of Sanders' personal setbacks, but it also equipped him with the negotiation skills that would later prove invaluable when franchising his fried chicken recipe. In 1909, Sanders married Josephine King, and together they had 3 children, Harland Jr., Mildred, and Margaret. However, his constant quest for success kept him away from home, which created tension in his marriage. While Josephine supported him through the early years of his ventures, the financial instability caused by his constant job changes eventually wore her patience thin. After nearly 4 decades of marriage, they divorced in 1947 and remarried Claudia Leddington 2 years later in 1949. The 1930s marked a turning point in Sanders' life, as he found innovative ways to thrive during the Great Depression, a time when competition was fierce and resources scarce. Managing a Shell gas station in Corbin, Kentucky, Sanders faced not only economic hardship, but also direct rivalries with neighboring gas stations. However, it was during this time of adversity that Sanders demonstrated his knack for both culinary excellence and strategic marketing. Recognizing that Southern-style cooking had universal appeal, Sanders turned his gas station into a roadside cafe. Serving home-cooked meals to hungry travelers, his fried chicken quickly became the star of the menu. What set Sanders' food apart wasn't just taste, it was his attention to detail. He used fresh ingredients, insisted on consistency, and added his unique blend of 11 herbs and spices, creating a flavor that competitors couldn't replicate. By 1935, Sanders' Cafe had built a reputation for quality, earning him recognition from Kentucky Governor Ruby LaFoon, who bestowed upon him the honorary title of Kentucky Colonel. Seizing this moment, Sanders leaned into his new persona, donning a white suit and black string tie to embody the Southern gentleman, a marketing angle that would later become integral to the KFC brand. His white suit, black string tie, and honorary title transformed him into a memorable character. Travelers didn't just stop for chicken, they stopped to meet the Colonel, making his restaurant stand out in a crowded market. To lure customers away from rival gas stations, Sanders strategically priced his meals affordably, offering hearty, flavorful fried chicken dinners for just 25 cents, equivalent to about $5 today. Unlike competitors who cut corners, he refused to compromise on quality, which gave him a distinct edge. By 1939, Sanders made a breakthrough that would cement his culinary genius. He began using a pressure cooker to fry chicken. This innovation cut cooking time from 30 minutes to just 10, while preserving the chicken's flavor and texture. The pressure cooker, combined with his secret spice mix, allowed him to serve meals quickly without sacrificing quality, a game changer in an era when convenience was becoming increasingly valued. In 1939, disaster struck when a fire ravaged Sanders' kitchen, destroying his restaurant and forcing him to start over. This was a devastating blow, especially considering that his restaurant had become a popular dining spot for travelers along the highway. However, Sanders' indomitable spirit refused to be extinguished. He rebuilt his kitchen and reopened the restaurant, determined to press on. Yet as his business slowly recovered, another devastating setback loomed. In the early 1950s, the U.S. government began constructing a new interstate highway system, which caused a shift in the flow of traffic. The once bustling route near Sanders' restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky, was bypassed, leading to a sharp decline in customers. The reduced traffic not only impacted sales, but also significantly hampered Sanders' ability to attract new business. The local economy shifted, and his once thriving restaurant began to falter. With the weight of debt mounting, Sanders found himself facing the possibility of bankruptcy. In 1952, at the age of 65, Sanders was nearly penniless. He had lost his restaurant, his savings, and his livelihood, yet he refused to succumb to despair. Instead of giving up, Sanders decided to take bold action. He would franchise his fried chicken recipe. Armed with a secret blend of 11 herbs and spices, a pressure cooker, and a burning desire to succeed, Sanders set out on the road to pitch his chicken to restaurant owners across the country. The road to success was not an easy one. Sanders traveled thousands of miles, knocking on doors, pitching his recipe, and seeking out business owners who might be interested in adding Kentucky Fried Chicken to their menus. His persistence was tested time and again, as he was rejected over 1,000 times. He was often turned away by restaurant owners who were skeptical of his product or unsure of its potential. Yet Sanders remained undeterred, believing that his chicken had the power to succeed. In 1952, after an exhausting and often discouraging journey, Sanders finally found a willing partner in Pete Harmon, a restaurant owner in Salt Lake City, Utah. Harmon agreed to add Kentucky Fried Chicken to his menu, and the partnership proved to be a turning point. The chicken was an instant hit, and customers flocked to Harmon's restaurant to try Sanders' famous recipe. This success led to other restaurants reaching out, eager to offer Sanders' chicken on their own menus. This partnership with Pete Harmon was not just a lifeline for Sanders, it was the beginning of KFC's expansion. Harmon saw the potential of Sanders' brand and helped him refine the franchising model. Rather than opening company-owned restaurants, Sanders sold the rights to franchisees, allowing them to operate KFC outlets under his brand name. This unique approach allowed for rapid expansion without the financial burden of managing each restaurant himself. For each franchise, Sanders charged an initial fee that typically ranged from $1,000 to $2,000, equivalent to $10,000 to $20,000 today, and a royalty of 4 to 5% on the sales of each restaurant. This model allowed Sanders to expand the KFC brand rapidly and efficiently without bearing the full financial risk. Franchisees were responsible for their individual restaurants, but had the benefit of using Sanders' proven recipe and branding, which gave them a competitive edge in the growing fast food market. The success of Sanders' franchising venture helped him to recover from the financial ruin he had faced just a few years earlier. By the mid-1950s, KFC was on its way to becoming a household name, and Sanders had gone from a man on the verge of bankruptcy to the owner of a rapidly expanding empire. By 1964, Sanders had franchised over 600 KFC locations across the U.S. and Canada. This generated significant revenue through both franchise fees and ongoing royalties. Sanders was earning thousands of dollars each month from his franchisees alone, providing him with a steady stream of income that helped fund the rapid growth of the brand. Despite his growing wealth and the widespread popularity of KFC, Sanders recognized that the challenges of running a fast food empire were immense. In 1964, at the age of 74, Sanders faced a critical turning point. He had invested his heart and soul into the business, but as the company grew, so did the complexities of running it. Seeking to expand KFC even further and old age catching up, the decision to sell the company for $2 million, approximately $19 million today, to a group of investors led by John Y. Brown Jr., a future governor of Kentucky, was inevitable. Sanders continued to embody the brand as its spokesperson, ensuring his values remained tied to its legacy. However, as KFC grew, tensions arose between Sanders and its new management, especially over quality standards. Dissatisfied with changes to the recipes, particularly the gravy, Sanders did not shy away from expressing his disapproval publicly. This led to legal disputes with KFC's parent company, Hoobline Inc., culminating in a settlement that allowed Sanders to protect his reputation and legacy. Despite these challenges, Sanders' image, dressed in his signature white suit and black string tie, remained central to KFC's branding. Even after his passing in 1980, his spirit and vision continued to influence the global fast food industry. From a struggling young boy in rural Indiana to the founder of one of the world's most iconic brands, Harland Sanders' journey was one of resilience and relentless ambition. Today, KFC operates over 26,000 restaurants worldwide, a far cry from the modest roadside gas station where it all began. His life story serves as a reminder that success is not always a straight path, but with determination, grit, and a commitment to one's principles, even the most challenging obstacles can be turned into opportunities. Harland Sanders didn't just build a business. He built a legacy that endures, inspiring millions to dream big and pursue their passions.